This year, we will be seeing the changing of the guard of some long-serving elected officials in Key West. With 3 city commissioners terming out and our mayor deciding not to run, there is a lot of local history stepping down. Collectively, they have provided 83 years of elected service. Commissioner Jimmy Weekley may be the longest-serving elected official in the city's history. He was first elected as a District 1 commissioner in 1985 and served until 1999. He was elected mayor in 1999 and served there until 2005. Commissioner Weekley then took a 4-year hiatus from public life, and he was again elected to the commission in 2009.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Weekley, for joining us this afternoon to talk a little bit about your upcoming retirement. What led you to initially run for office?
In 1983, there was a city commission meeting, and there was a candidate that I really had a lot of respect for, and someone that I really wanted to support. And I did. I went out and worked for them, and unfortunately, after they got elected, they flip-flopped on what their purpose was. So the next election, which came up in 1985, I decided, you know, instead of me going out and supporting someone that may do the same thing again, I'm going to run myself and see what happens. So I ran and I got elected, and here I am today, you know, after 34 years stepping aside.
What was the most memorable moment in your 30-plus year career?
You know, I think there's 2 things. One was the day that I walked into a planning board meeting and saw the developer talking about this Key West Bight area, how they wanted to build condos around it. And I said, that can't happen. You know, that's not who we are. We are not, you know, Boca Raton. So I immediately went over to the city attorney's office and spoke with her and said, okay, so I saw this plan. How can the city stop this? How can we buy the property? And they said, well, I'm not sure. That's a question for our city lobbyist. And so I spoke with the lobbyist, Rick Watson at the time, and he thought about it and said, well, we're going to bring the Trust for Public Lands in, and we'll set up a meeting with them. You can articulate your vision to them and see if it's something they would like to get involved with. And you know, fortunately they did, and we had a referendum, and better than 60% of the population said, yes, we want you to buy this property. And it's been so successful. The second thing is the Truman waterfront. When that first came available, you know, we were concerned that we might have to pay for it. Well, we put together a plan, and part of that plan was economic development. So the city manager at the time, Julio Aviel, and myself, and Commissioner Turner, we flew to Washington and met with GSA and talked to them about, you know, we really would like to pursue this as a non-cost conveyance to the city. We're going to be providing jobs. We're going to put a marina there that'll generate, you know, a few jobs. We're not sure what that number is right now, but and they agreed to do that. They said, yes, we can do it. You know, they jumped through all their hoops. They came back and told the city, okay, we're willing to do this. Unfortunately, within that same time frame, we had 9/11. So we heard from the Navy saying everything stopped right now. We need a few months to analyze to see if we're able to transfer this property or not, or if we have it for need it for any particular reason. And so about 6 months later, they came back and said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to take part of the property back, and the other part of the property you can have to develop. So those are the 2 things that are most memorable to me and that I think has the greatest impact on our city.
It kind of sounds like you're leading into my next question, which is, what do you consider your legacy to Key West?
I guess, you know, this right here, obviously, the Truman waterfront's another, and I guess the third is not way up there, but also when I first got elected, the Truman Annex, we had the Community Redevelopment Agency, and they were in the process of negotiating with the developer. They had these conceptual plans, but those plans were 5, 7 years old. And when I got elected, I said, you know, these plans are outdated. This isn't what the community wants. Let's take another look at it. And so we were able to do that. When it came time to closing, they said under the restrictions that the city had placed on them, they were unable to close. So then GSA stepped back in, and they put the property up on the auction block. And that's when, you know, Prem Singh came in and was able to get it. But I think what we have there is a lot better than what the original design was going to be like.
Fantastic. Finally, how do you feel about your retirement?
You know, I don't look at it as a retirement. I look at it as a new chapter in my life, staying involved in a different way than sitting on the commission. You know, I hope to be able to still participate in maybe in some of the boards, looking at some other opportunities in the future. But it's something, you know, to be totally honest with you, I will definitely miss. You know, I mean, I've been doing it for you know, 34 years or so, and it's been part of my life. And you know, and that's one thing people ask me all the time, what are you going to do? And I know early on, Susan and I are going to take a long vacation. We're going to go to Paris for 3 weeks, so that would be, and she deserves every minute of that.
Thank you, Commissioner, for coming out with us. Thank you for all of this, all you've done for the city, and I hope to see you just as often and that you carry my cheese.
Well, thank you.
District 6 Commissioner Clayton Lopez is also terming out this year. He was elected in 2005 and represents Bahama Village and part of the downtown business district. He worked for many years with the Florida Department of Health in Monroe County, retiring from that duty about halfway through his career in elected office.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Lopez, for coming here this afternoon and joining us on this beautiful Key West day. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your upcoming retirement. First of all, I wonder, what drove you to run for elected office initially?
Well, when I actually wanted to run for office, it wasn't to be. Commissioner Carmen Turner was actually selected for the office, and it wasn't until she was ready to give it up, approached me and asked me if I would consider running. And I had always wanted to continue my service to the community in this capacity, and but by that time I had pretty much given up on it. And when she said that she was, I felt like, okay, so then maybe this is the correct time to do it.
Excellent. What was the most memorable moment in your career as a commissioner?
There were so many. There were so many. Serving with the first commission that I served on, where we had 5 new members of the commission, and there were a lot of things accomplished then. And moving on into all of the, working with all of the different people that I had known over the years, but actually getting a chance to actually work on something that was beneficial to the entire community, as we have, and getting things done. Those are the things I remember most. I'll never forget them. Right here, we're standing in the Nelson English Park. This is one of the things I remember as far as the good things that we've accomplished.
What would you consider your legacy as you retire?
Well, I'd like for my legacy to be one, again, of service. I want, in general terms, I'd like for my grandchildren to look upon, you know, to be as proud of me as I am of my grandfather, and the things that he's accomplished. But my legacy, I think, will probably be the things that we've done with creating an active CRA in the Bahama Village area, where we're actually, again, moving things, getting things done. The new Douglas gym extension, the 3.2 housing that's been promised and has been reduced, but we saved what we did have, what we do have, and we're actually making it finally come to fruition.
That's got to be satisfying. How do you feel about retiring?
I've got such mixed emotions about retiring. There's no question I'm going to miss this part of it. Being in a position of authority to actually enact things, getting things done. But we've known each other for a long time, so you know that I'm not one to not be active and not get things done anyway. So that part's not going to change. That's it.
Fantastic. I want to thank you for coming here. Thank you for your service, and thank you for taking the time out to do this with us today.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Teri Johnston was first elected to the City Commission to represent District 5. She served in that seat from 2007 until 2015, when she decided to take some time off of the dais. However, after 3 years, she ran for the position of mayor in 2018. After 3 terms as mayor, she has made the decision not to run again. She is the only one of the 4 that is not termed out.
Good morning, Mayor. Thank you for taking some time to sit down with us today and talk a little bit about your career and your upcoming retirement. I'd like to ask you, first of all, what initially drove you to run for office?
Well, first of all, I had no intention of running for office. Have never had political aspirations throughout the vast majority of my life. But something happened after Hurricane Wilma. And, you were in Key West, so you know the devastation that occurred. But one of the things that happened was our windstorm insurance, which was astronomical to start with, doubled. People were getting premiums that were, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for just windstorm insurance. So I had a lively neighborhood there. We lived on Washington Street, and we had neighbors on South Street, and 32 neighbors met in the backyard of one of our friends on South Street. And that was really the formation of FIRM. We all decided that we could no longer live here, wouldn't be able to afford Key West if these windstorm insurance went through. So what we did was we organized in fair insurance rates in Monroe, 32 of us. We very quickly grew to about 3,000 members because everyone in the county was being impacted by these exorbitant rates. We got donations. We flew to Tallahassee, 32 of us. We walked the halls. We had a very simple demonstration on the front of an 8x10 frame. We had a picture of our house. On the back, we had a picture of our new insurance premium. And we had no idea where we were going. We walked from office to office. During that time, we got to meet not only with the Department of Insurance Regulation, but we also got 15 minutes in front of the cabinet. Jeb Bush was governor at that time, and from that small group of people taking on a cause, we actually averted an insurance rate that was getting ready to come down upon the Monroe County residents. They actually rolled back our rates by 32%, and they froze them for 4 years. And to date, what that has meant for Monroe County is we have saved the ratepayers over $900 million since that small group of people went to Tallahassee. So I thought, oh, well, that's politics. That's how, that's how it goes. And so I came back and I ran in a 3-person race. Vince Mancini was running, and Jose Menendez was the incumbent. And I ran in a 3-person race and won the district seat for District 5. So that's how it started.
But you came back as mayor.
I did come back as mayor. And actually, after 8 years sitting on the city commission, I got off the city commission for 2 years. And during that time, I served as a Monroe County Planning Board member. I was appointed by Commissioner Heather Carruthers. And I also served on the Monroe County Land Authority Board. And that gave me great experience in a couple of different areas outside of the city of Key West that was really important. And I've drawn upon several of those experiences. But in 2018, Mayor Craig Cates was termed out after 10 years. And I was sitting back and I watching the people that were entering the race, and more people were entering the race. And then I finally decided, you know, I really feel that I'm the best person to step into that role and follow Craig. So I threw my hat into the race and I ran against 12 other individuals, and I won it in a runoff with Margaret Romero. So I've been mayor since November of 2018.
Well, and clearly the community agreed that you were the person for the job. What would you find is the most memorable moment of your career as mayor?
Yep. Well, I've had two, and I've been thinking about this a lot. The first one was actually my swearing in, and I think that it was so heartwarming because our chambers were packed. Rarely do you see that, and they were packed with citizens that were very, very excited to see a change. I was elected to bring about change to the city of Key West. Every door I knocked on, you know, every person I talked to, they loved the city of Key West, but they also wanted to see it improve, and they wanted to see some things change, and they wanted equal representation on the commission. So they had lots of goals and lots of expectations, and I think it was just a time of renewed hope and engagement of our community, and it was one of the best times that I think I've had in the city of Key West. And it was a swearing in that was handled all by women. Judge Perry Fowler was the person that swore us in. I had my partner, Dar Castillo, along with our 4 granddaughters who were there with their hands on the Bible, and I think that it really meant a lot for women in the city and in the county. So that was a really special moment. And my second very special moment, do you remember the opening that we had of Duval for All, when we had an opening of Duval Street that would create a pedestrian mall on the street? That was our 1-year pilot program, and I've never seen people so engaged and excited in a program as I've seen with that. And that has since morphed into our Duval Street Revitalization and Resiliency project, which is going to take years, but is going to be one of the most major projects that we've gotten into in the city of Key West. But people were so excited about that, and not only people who have moved here from somewhere else, but multi-generational residents. And the very first night that we opened it up, I was walking down the street and my hand was grabbed by a multi-generational gentleman who said, "Thank you for giving the street back to the residents." And I thought, boy, this is a project worthwhile. So those are my 2 really memorable things, and the entire time since 2007 has been memorable. Lots of really highs, because what other place can you go? What other position can you hold where you have a chance every day to help people? And this is what this position gives you an opportunity to do.
Also an opportunity to be tough, because you went through the COVID period, which is very difficult to make some of those decisions. So kudos to you for getting through that.
Thank you.
What will you consider your legacy?
COVID, leading this community through COVID. And I think, you know, for all of us of a considerable age, that was one of the most challenging times that I think the vast majority of our community went through. It was a great time of uncertainty. What I knew and was very clear to me was really black and white, was that we had to protect our community. We had to keep our community healthy, because if we did that, we would be the first to come out of this, and we would be the first to recover. And that's exactly what happened. You know, we're a community that's 3 hours away from a major medical facility. At that time, it was reported that we had 2 respirators available in the city of Key West. So it was really clear that we had to do everything that we could to stay healthy, to stay alive, and then to move on, create a new business plan, create a new marketing plan, take care of our people during these uncertain times. And I am so proud of this community because we did that in spades. the amount of money and support that we gave to people who were unemployed for the very first time in their life. And I remember standing in back here of City Hall in a food line, and the people that were going through that line, the pain in their face was just...
That's quite a legacy.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to keep you emotional. How do you feel about retirement?
I feel great. I feel very comfortable in this, and very few times, I think, do you get the opportunity to feel that level of comfort. For 14 years in city government, I have gone to bed at night after a city commission meeting and I've been able to sleep. And I feel that I've made the decisions. I've stood my ground on issues that were important to the community. I function with morality and with the virtues of the city and the long-term best interests of our community at heart, and I feel really good. And what I did was I always go back every year and I take a look at what have been my campaign promises. What did I tell my voters I was going to do for them? And every single campaign promise since 2007 has either been accomplished, realized, or it's in the works right now. So what better time to make your exit than right now?
That's wonderful. Well, it's been an honor working with you through all of these years. Actually, I think you were on the commission before I came to the city, but still worked together as I was a reporter. I appreciate your time today, and I wish you, for everybody that works in this building, the best in your retirement.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
District 3 City Commissioner Billy Wardlow decided to run for office after retiring from a full 30-year career with the Key West Fire Department. He started in high school with the Fire Academy and eventually became fire chief. He was elected to the commission in 2009.
Thank you, Commissioner Wardlow. I sometimes still want to call you Chief. Thank you for being here today and talking to us a little bit about your upcoming retirement from your career with the city, or your second retirement with the city.
Thank you.
What initially drove you to go for an elected office?
Well, being in the fire department, that's political. My brother was running for office, and so I got involved in that and, continued on, and I just like politics. And so I saw what was happening, with the budgets and stuff with the departments. And when my career was over in the fire department, I wanted to run to make sure I could take care of the employees, which I think I have done over the last 15 years. And, to me, that was very important because when you're on the other side of the fence, you see what happens a different way. And then when you get behind the dais, you got to do something completely different, but you got to help people. And I think, that my main goal was to help people and get things done and keep Key West moving forward.
Fantastic. What would you consider the most memorable moment of your career?
The most memorable part of being on a commission, we're standing in it right now, this fire station. I worked very hard to get it. We went through many commission meetings, and we finally got it done, and it's a beautiful firehouse. And my other one was Cozumel Park, that is in my district, and the kids are still loving that as today. And so those are basically the two, but I think as a whole commission, we've done so much for the city with the parks and recreations. The ball fields are beautiful, and community service has done a wonderful job. So that, I think, in the whole is my most memorable times as a commissioner.
That's pretty good. What would you consider your legacy as you step down?
Well, what I'd like to see is whoever steps in my position would follow the footsteps and keep everything going the way it is with public safety, community service, and all the departments in the city, and to make sure we have a retaining effort to keep our employees employed, because we're losing too many of them. Problem is that we've got to keep the taxes down, because if you raise the taxes, you can't get affordable housing. So in order to keep employees, we got to keep the taxes down. So, and that's what I'd like anybody that follows in my footsteps would do for the city of Key West.
That's been clear. You've had that message since you've been sitting up there. Finally, I'd like to ask you how you feel about retiring.
Well, if it wasn't for term limits, I'd probably be running again. And, I think it's time to step down. I've had my career in the fire department of 30 years, then 15 years on the city commission. So I've dedicated 45 years of my life and my family's life to the city of Key West. And believe it or not, the city of Key West has made me very fortunate with the jobs I've had to, benefit my family and put my kids through college and get a house and everything else. So, that's what I'd like to see anybody do afterwards. And another thing is they got to stand by their word. And on my father's headstone, it says, "A man who stood by his word," and that's what I'm following. And when I say something, I'm going to do it. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to do it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Commissioner Wardlow, for spending the time and for your service, and I think the whole city thanks you as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you all do for us, and I appreciate taking the time to come down here to this fire station and let me do my interview right here. Thank you very much.
The City of Key West thanks each of you, Commissioner Jimmy Weekley, Commissioner Clayton Lopez, Commissioner Billy Wardlow, and Mayor Teri Johnston, for your commitment to this community.